Let me tell you something no one wants to admit. If people feel completely safe around you, they will never truly respect you. And if they feel comfortable when you speak, they will forget you faster than a name they never meant to remember. Because people, especially in this world, are not obsessed with kindness. They're not fascinated by predictability. They're pulled by tension. Not the tension you create with noise, but the kind that radiates from presence. The kind that makes even the most confident person slow their pace when you enter a room. You don't need to be charming. You need to carry weight, a calm, unshakable weight that scrambles the nervous system. The kind of presence that shifts the atmosphere without a single word. And here's the truth. Most men never learn this. They confuse being liked with being respected. They confuse being agreeable with being remembered. They confuse loud confidence with quiet power. This isn't about being alpha. It's not about pretending to be dominant. It's about becoming psychologically untouchable, not reactive, not explainable, not accessible, but still undeniable. Machiavelli once said, "A wise prince can subdue his enemies without ever drawing his sword." Picture this. You walk into a crowded room. No one knows your name. You don't say a word. Yet within 10 seconds, every eye finds you, not because of your looks, not because of fame, but because of something harder to define, a stillness as heavy as steel, an atmosphere that makes even the most confident person adjust their breath. They don't know what you'll do next. They only know they can't ignore you. This video is going to show you how to become that man. The one the world can't read, but is forced to respect through Machiavelli's cold principles and through a weapon no one ever taught you, deliberate silence. You were taught from an early age, be kind, be honest, be yourself, and the world will respect you for it. Sounds noble, but how many times did you do exactly that only to be ignored? How many times did you open up only to have your words twisted and used against you later? How many times did you speak your truth and watched it vanish into the air because no one cared enough to listen? Here's the part they never told you. The more people understand you, the easier you are to control. Your feelings aren't just yours. They're data. They're leverage. They're weapons you hand over for free. When you reveal your emotional state, you're like a king removing his armor mid-battle. Once they can read you, they don't just understand you. They rewrite you. This is why your boss talks over you. This is why your ex lost interest. This is why people feel safe disrespecting you. Not because they're stronger, but because you're predictable. You're hot when they're hot. You're soft when they're cold. You adapt to their tone, but they never adapt to yours. And every time you adjust to them, you send one silent signal. I'm following your lead. Power isn't in winning arguments. It's in making others too unsure to even challenge you in the first place. If life is a chessboard, most men move too fast, too early, reacting to every piece that shifts. But the Machiavellian man, he watches, he waits. He lets others reveal themselves first. And then, with one quiet move, he flips the entire board. From now on, your question is no longer, how do I feel right now? It becomes, what does this moment require from me? Because the second you let your mood decide your response, you've already given your power away. Machiavelli had a word for this kind of power. La simulazione, the art of strategic concealment. Not pretending, not performing, but holding back just enough to stay unreadable. Because once people can't figure you out, they're forced to respect you. Imagine a battlefield. Your enemy stands across from you, eyes locked on yours, searching for any sign. A twitch, a shift in breath, a flicker of uncertainty. They're trying to guess your next move, trying to map your intentions, but you reveal nothing. You stand still, silent, composed, and in that moment, your silence becomes louder than any threat. The same principle applies everywhere. In a boardroom, in a negotiation, in a date, in an argument with someone who's trying to provoke you. Power is not about making noise. It's about controlling the tempo. Most people live in reaction mode. Someone insults them, they fire back instantly. Someone doubts them, they rush to explain. Someone challenges them, they scramble to prove themselves. Every reaction is a data leak. Every explanation is an opening. Every visible emotion is a weapon handed to the other side. But the Machiavellian man doesn't play that game. He sets the tone. If someone raises their voice, he lowers his. If someone gets emotional, he gets calmer. If someone demands a response, he offers silence. And that silence does more than protect him. It shifts the balance of power. It forces the other person to fill the empty space with their own doubt, their own insecurity, their own fear. A seasoned negotiator once told me he used to pause for 10 full seconds after an offer was made, not because he needed time to think, but because he knew the other person would break first. They would second guess themselves. They would lower their price. They would give more than they planned, just to escape the discomfort of not knowing what he was thinking. That's the power of la simulazione. You don't show your next move. You let others trip over their assumptions. And no, this isn't passivity. It's precision. It's holding the strike until the moment matters most. When you stop reacting, you start dictating. And the man who dictates the emotional tempo controls the room. Let me give you a scene. Two men walk into the same room. Same suit, same stakes, same opportunity to lead. The first man walks in with visible confidence, shoulders squared, smile sharp, voice ready to take control. But it's the kind of confidence that shatters the moment tension shows up. Someone disagrees with him, and it happens fast. His tone changes, his words get faster, his posture stiffens. He starts defending, then over-defending, and within seconds, he's not leading anymore. He's chasing. The room no longer listens to his message. They're watching his state. They see the cracks. They smell the need. And the moment they sense desperation, the power is gone. Now look at the second man. He walks in, calm, quiet, unshaken. Someone challenges him. He doesn't react. He observes. He waits. He lets the others burn through their energy first. And then when the tension peaks, he speaks. Not loudly, not emotionally, but with such control that the entire atmosphere shifts around him. One man tries to hold the room with noise. The other owns it with presence. And here's the truth. You've probably been both. You've been the man who explained too much, who laughed nervously to fill the silence, who smiled too quickly just to diffuse the tension. And you've also had moments, rare moments, when you didn't rush, when you didn't chase approval, when your silence carried more weight than any speech. The question is, which version do you want to live in from now on? From this moment forward, you are no longer part of the emotional noise. You are the still frame in a world that won't stop shaking. You don't speak to be heard. You speak to be remembered. You don't enter a room to be liked. You enter to recalibrate its atmosphere. Your silence is no longer awkward. It's a filter. It repels the shallow. It draws in those who recognize strength that doesn't need to announce itself. You're not cold. You're focused. You're not distant. You're precise. And yes, some people will call you arrogant, detached, unfeeling. Let them, because what they call arrogance is usually just self-respect with boundaries. And what they call too quiet is usually someone who refuses to bleed on command. The old version of you, the one who overshared, overexplained, overreacted, is gone. Not with drama, not with noise, but with discipline. You buried him quietly. And in his place, you've built someone far more dangerous. A man who can't be moved from the outside because he's already mastered the inside. From here, the work is not about theory. It's about practice, about training this identity until it becomes second nature, and that's where your weapons come in. You don't build cold presence by reading quotes. You build it with weapons, refined, trained, used in silence. These are 5 tools you must drill until they become instinct. Because when pressure comes, you don't want to remember strategy, you want to become it. Tool 1, the strategic pause. Next time someone disrespects you, don't respond immediately. Wait 2 seconds. Just breathe. Let the space get heavy. Let them feel your energy pull back. Then answer if you still feel like it. Why? Because people fear what they can't predict. And nothing is harder to predict than a man who doesn't flinch. Tool 2, eye contact without emotion. Most people blink too much. Look away. Look down. You don't. You train yourself to hold eye contact with no smile, no frown, no signal. Your eyes are not for validation. They're for observation. You're not performing. You're studying. Tool 3, controlled breathing. Your breath is your rhythm. Slow inhales, even slower exhales. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Do this under pressure, and you control the room without speaking a word. Tool 4, the non-reaction test. Pick a trigger, a word, a tone, a gesture that usually gets under your skin. Now train yourself to feel it without showing it. Someone mocks you, you don't defend, you don't explain, you smile. Not out of submission, but because you know the game and refuse to play it their way. Tool 5, energy withdrawal. This is your nuclear move. When someone consistently drains you, you don't confront, you don't warn, you just remove your energy. No big goodbye, no closing argument, just distance. Let your absence become louder than your presence ever was. These are not gimmicks. They're tactics. They don't just protect your mood, they project strength without a single outburst. Train them until they're automatic. Because the man who masters these 5 doesn't manage emotions. He commands attention. And when you command attention, you no longer have to fight for respect. It arrives before you speak. Picture this. One day, you walk into a room, no one claps. No one shouts your name, but something shifts. The conversation slows. The energy drops, and people turn not because they know who you are, but because they feel something they can't explain. You don't rush. You don't scan for approval. You don't force a smile. You move with deliberate stillness, the kind that makes others instinctively lower their voices. When you finally speak, you say less, but every word lands heavier. In meetings, people pause when you shift in your seat, not because you raise your voice, but because they've learned that when you speak, it matters. In relationships, you no longer chase connection. You don't over-explain. You don't beg to be seen. Instead, your calm becomes your boundary. Your silence says, I'm here because I choose to be, and I can leave just as easily. You are no longer emotionally available to anyone who hasn't earned it. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. And slowly, people adjust. The one who used to interrupt you thinks twice. The one who used to mock you lowers their voice. The one who used to test you stops playing games, not because you confronted them, but because your stillness became harder to navigate than their manipulation. Even people younger than you will start watching quietly. They won't know exactly what it is about you, only that they feel it. They'll study your timing, your posture, your silence. And one day, they'll realize you became the man. They're trying to figure out, you'll remember the times you couldn't hold eye contact, when you laughed too quickly, when you gave too much away. But now, that version of you is gone. Now, you walk into every room knowing this. You don't need to be understood because you've become something better. You've become undeniable. Now, look at the other side of the story. Not the future you want, but the one waiting for you if you slip. You walk into a room with something to say. You think you're confident, but it's a confidence built on thin glass. One glance, one smirk, one subtle jab, and it cracks. Your smile turns nervous. Your tone shifts. Your words speed up. You start explaining, then defending, then over-defending. You think you're winning them back, but all you're doing is proving you can be rattled. And here's what happens next. They stop listening to your point. They start reading your state. They see the insecurity. They smell the need. And in that moment, you become emotionally cheap. People don't forget that moment. They remember exactly what cracked you. They store it, they save it, and they wait for the day they need to use it. Machiavelli understood this. The world doesn't reward raw emotion. It studies it, files it away, turns it into a weapon. You've felt this before. The time you shared too much and watched someone walk away. The time you admitted a fear and saw it used against you later. Every sigh, every flinch, every quick apology, they're all data points you've handed to the wrong people. And once they have the map to your emotions, they control the terrain. This is how power is lost. Not in one dramatic collapse, but in a slow leak you never patched. One smile too quick. One explanation too soon. One moment where you showed them exactly how to pull you off balance. By the time you realize it, you're no longer shaping the moment. You're just reacting to it. And once you start reacting, you're already losing. It's time to reset. Not with motivation, not with affirmations, with structure. You've been too easy to read, too quick to respond, too eager to prove yourself. That stops now. From this moment forward, you are no longer a book left open on the table. You are a locked vault. No one sees inside unless you decide to let them. This isn't about killing your emotions. It's about training them, owning them, choosing when, where, and how they appear. From now on, you move from reaction to observation. When someone tries to provoke you, you don't ask, "How do I feel right now?" You ask, "What are they trying to make me feel and why?" That single shift pulls you out of their control. You also master your nonverbal language, your eyes, your breathing, your posture. Nothing leaks without your permission. You never give them the satisfaction of seeing you flinch. And above all, you build silence into your identity. You don't speak to fill the air. You speak to be remembered. And if there's nothing worth saying, you let the silence do it for you. The old version of you, the one who overshared, overexplained, overreacted, is gone. No announcement, no ceremony, just gone. In his place stands a man who cannot be moved from the outside because he's already fortified the inside. You don't need them to understand you. You don't need their approval. You don't even need to convince them you've changed. They'll see it. They'll feel it. And they'll adjust to it, whether they want to or not. You don't need applause. You don't need the crowd to nod, because now you understand real power doesn't roar. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't ask for permission. It arrives quietly, and it changes the air when it does. You walk into a room, you don't rush. You don't scan for approval. You don't speak to prove you belong. You stand steady, unshaken, and the room adjusts to you. The one who used to interrupt you thinks twice. The one who used to mock you lowers their voice. The one who tried to pull you into their game stops playing. Not because you told them to, but because they can't read you anymore, and no one wants to fight a man whose rules they don't know. You've become too expensive to provoke, too unpredictable to manipulate, too disciplined to lose by accident. And then, one day, someone will ask, why are you like this now? Why so calm? Why so deliberate? Why so silent? You'll look at them, and without a hint of performance, you'll answer, because silence never lies. And power doesn't ask for permission. Then you'll walk away. No final word, no second glance, because you no longer need to win the game. You've already left the board, and they're still trying to figure out how you did it. That's the final victory. Not beating the competition, but becoming untouchable by it. From here on, you don't chase respect. You carry it with you. You don't demand attention. Your presence earns it before you speak. And when you choose to speak, every word will land heavier, because they'll know you could have stayed silent. Now go. Be the man they can't predict, the one they can't control, the one they have to respect. Because the moment you master your silence, you master the room. And when you master the room, you master the world.